Hello out there in internet land. This is episode 20 of the P&J F1 chat. I'm your host, Phil Lamington, and sitting beside me is the man who even I know could survive being sandwiched between an Alfa Romeo and a Haas. JB. JB, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'll survive because with the power of Pfizer and my newly inherited 5G, I'm essentially indestructible. Right? That's what the government told me.
Except for your right hand.
We don't talk about that.
So we are here to talk about the race that happened yesterday morning, because we are recording this on the Tuesday.
Yes.
Yesterday morning from Mexico City, Mexico, which was race 19
Correct.
of the 2021 Formula One Championship from Mexico City. So, what do you think of the race?
The start was exciting and the end was exciting, and the middle, even though I was struggling with a fever because my 5G was downloading, was quite boring and I struggled to stay awake, but I got there. The joys of Mexico being 2 kilometers above sea level and not making downforce work or getting 2 seconds behind the car in front work meant that everyone was spread like a thin layer of butter all across Mexico City. So no, the race itself...
It spread like taco sauce.
Yeah, the race itself wasn't super exciting, but the way the weekend seesawed was, I liked the way the weekend seesawed, but we can talk about it. We'll go through the classifications.
Yes, so the race, it was won by Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. Second place was Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. Third place was driver of the day, Sergio Perez, who I think he deserved it. He drove the legs off that car.
He gave it everything in front of his home crowd, man. He needed a performance of a lifetime, and he got it. And for the first time in his career, that's his 3rd consecutive podium.
And for the first time ever, there was a Mexican driver on the podium.
Mexican podium, yes.
Mexican podium. And I know, just deviating a little bit from reading the classifications, I did see F1 put up a video straight after where Perez was thanking, hugging his friends and stuff. And just his father's reaction. That was such a beautiful thing.
That was a proud dad moment, and it was captured on camera for the world to see. And how good. His dad was like the entirety of Mexico in one person.
Look, his dad was me. I was so happy that Perez got on the podium.
It's all we wanted. It's like we either want him to win the race or be on the podium.
Yeah.
And we got the latter.
In 4th place was Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri. What a drive he had.
Good weekend for that kid. Yep. Really good. Got everything he could out of the AlphaTauri. And his teammate, who didn't finish the race, he had pace as well. So both those AlphaTauris, I think, it was probably fair to say they were the 3rd fastest car on track this weekend. But
that Honda engine, that Honda power
unit in high altitude, low deg situations, because the 3 highest altitude tracks on the calendar are Mexico, Spa, and the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And Red Bull, powered by Honda, will have won all 3 of those races.
Yeah.
So I think it has something to do with that Honda power unit liking maybe or being better adapted to a lower pressured, air pressured environment, I guess.
Well, I suppose, Honda is from Japan, and it's at a little bit of a higher altitude as well.
Mountainous, yeah.
So, and isn't Brazil?
I believe so. Yeah. And they're going there next, so that's another chance for Red Bull and AlphaTauri to make their marks.
In 5th place was Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. He had a good drive as well.
He did. He was the faster of the two most of the weekend. I think there was a point mid-race, we'll get to it, where he let Carlos Sainz through, and then Carlos let him back through because Leclerc, he tried to chase Gasly, couldn't chase Gasly, and he let Leclerc back through. So I think, there was some conjecture between the two, team orders-wise, as there usually is. But I think that finishing order represented their respective pace. I think Leclerc was the faster of the two. And more importantly, they've completely taken the momentum away from McLaren now.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty convincing at the moment for the boys in red.
In sixth place was Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari. Seventh was Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin. He started fairly low on the grid.
I believe so. He had a fairly decent drive.
Yeah.
The Aston actually had a fair bit of pace. So I think he'd be happy with that. He's had a couple of not great results lately, so he needed something to perk him up a bit.
Speaking of being perked up a little bit, in eighth place was Kimi Räikkönen in the Alfa Romeo.
That is his drive I think that might be his best drive of the year. Or one
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, he just drove the legs off that Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I mean, that Alfa Romeo isn't anywhere, compared to what it's around, is probably the odd one out there. Being surrounded by the Astons and the Alpines and the McLaren behind it. But, Kimi gave it everything. I think he benefited off the turn one incident as well. He made up a bunch of places.
Yeah.
But you know what? He did enough to keep the car there.
Yeah.
Credit to him.
And in ninth place was Fernando Alonso in the Alpine. He had a pretty solid day at the office too.
Yeah, he was making some pretty alright overtakes on a track that not many people were making many overtakes. But the royally old veteran still's got some tricks up his sleeve, it seems.
I just noticed this. From 5th through to 9th, 2 current Ferrari drivers and the last 3 former Ferrari drivers.
It just shows how good they are at churning out talent, huh?
Yeah.
Or hiring talent.
Yeah, throwing cash at talent. 10th place was Lando Norris in the McLaren. He did not have a very good day at the office.
Considering he started 18th, I think that's as good as he was going to get, but more disappointingly was his teammate.
In 11th was Antonio Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo. He had an okay day at the office. Wasn't anything worth writing home about, but...
I think that's only overshadowed because Kimi finished ahead of him on the road, but
Yeah.
I think that might have been like the true pace of the Alfa Romeo. Was probably an 11th or a 12th place, but as I said, I think Kimi benefited from the turn one spins.
Yeah. In 12th was Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren.
Yeah,
Um,
all by himself. He started 5th, like he had no excuse, and outbraked himself into turn one, spun Bottas, broke his front wing. Race was done from there.
yeah, he went from hero to zero.
What was his quote? It went from awesome to unawesome in about 3 seconds.
But, I mean, it's motorsport. You've got to go... If you're not going for the gap...
He
what the
wasn't
hell-
going for the gap. He locked up, and then he recovered it, and then he slowed down. But Bottas was so hesitant on the inside of turn one, which is why Max was able to sweep through. We'll get to it. And I mean, it was so innocent. Is that the word? I can't even say the word.
Innocent?
Innocent. I can't even say it. 5G failure. Google failure. On Ricciardo's part, that race control didn't even warrant it as a penalty or a
Yeah, they
racing
just-
incident.
Yeah, it was just a racing
It was a
incident.
Ricciardo fuck up, but it wasn't entirely a Ricciardo fuck up.
Yeah. In 13th was Esteban Ocon in the other Alpine. He survived the aftermath of the Ricciardo Bottas spin.
He's the luckiest guy on the grid, to be honest.
Yeah, he got sandwiched between Schumacher and Tsunoda, and both of them went into the shadow realm.
Yeah,
They took off into orbit.
he was the meat in the sandwich, and he was the only one who survived, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
14th is Lance Stroll in the other Aston Martin. He had a bit of a shocker.
Well, considering he crashed out in Q1 as well, his weekend really didn't get much better. I think they had to replace the gearbox at least, I'm sure,
Yeah.
in the Aston, which is why he started at the back of the grid as well. So, yeah, bad day for him, bad weekend for him.
In 15th was pole sitter Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes.
Okay, you want to speak about bad days? Through
Yeah.
no fault of his own, mind you.
Well,
But-
here's the thing. When it comes to Valtteri Bottas, I think this time he was a little bit timid going into the corner,
He was. Yeah.
and he cut across Ricciardo. So Ricciardo kind of didn't have anywhere to go. I mean, Ricciardo forced it by locking up.
But he had it recovered by the point, like he wasn't out of control when he hit Bottas. But
Yeah.
Bottas was very timid on the inside of turn one. And I think Toto might have hinted at it, or maybe I don't think it was Toto. I think it was the commentators. Bottas's hesitancy essentially gave Max the passage around the outside of turn one, which got him into the lead of the race.
Yeah, no, that was Toto.
It was Toto.
That was Toto.
Yeah, like he was very hesitant going into turn one, so
But he's always been hesitant going into turn one.
he should.
Like on every time he's on pole position, he's hesitant going into turn
He's
one.
not an aggressive driver, and this is why he's losing his seat to George Russell.
This is why he's always going to be a number 2
This is
driver.
why he's been Lewis's whipping boy for fucking
Yeah,
6 years.
he just doesn't have the killer instinct.
Yeah, we've said it. We've said our piece on him before about him not having the killer instinct, and if you needed a demonstration of it, I mean, as pole sitter, you're going to get slipstream down to turn one because it's one of the longest runs to turn one on the calendar. You need to be aggressive,
Yeah.
or at least try and hold your line. Bottas was neither, and
Yeah.
not only did he lose the lead to Verstappen, he got spun because that's how slow he was. Because someone with aggression, like Daniel Ricciardo, or at least controlled aggression, was approaching turn one faster than he was.
In 16th place was George Russell in the Williams. He went backwards.
Yeah, he did all he could do, I think. I think both those Williams did all they could do.
Yeah.
It really got found out this weekend.
Yeah. 17th was Nicholas Latifi in the other Williams. And 18th was Nikita Mazepin in the Haas.
Hmm.
And the 2 retirements were Mick Schumacher in the other Haas and Yuki Tsunoda in the Alpha Tauri.
The pieces of bread in the turn one sandwich. So, let's see how we got there. Start of the race, Mercedes looked out the front row with the 2 Red Bull drivers behind them, with Russell, Tsunoda, Stroll, Norris and Ocon all taking engine penalties. So keep that in mind from where they all started to where they all finished. Lap 1, Valtteri Bottas starts from pole position, Verstappen passing him on the outside, but is then hit from behind by Daniel Ricciardo and is spun. Yuki Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher both hit Esteban Ocon and crash out of the race in the consequent concertina effect. Ocon was able to carry on. Lap 4, the safety car ends with Verstappen was leading from Hamilton and Perez. Lap 9, Kimi Raikkonen gets around the outside of George Russell into turn 1. Fernando Alonso pulling off an identical move on him 1 lap later. Ricciardo's incident was officially ruled a racing incident with Bottas, and he won't face a penalty. Lap 30, Lewis Hamilton pitted for fresh hard tyres but fell behind Leclerc on his exit lap, but Leclerc would pit a lap later, so he didn't really lose too much. Lap 32, Max Verstappen pitted for fresh hard tyres as Sergio Perez becomes the first Mexican driver to lead his home Grand Prix, much to the delight of the crowd. Lap 41, Sergio Perez stopped for hard tyres and came out third on the road. Lap 42, Valtteri Bottas has a horror pit stop after they cross-threaded the wheel nut, which was the same thing they did in, was it Austria?
Yeah.
Yeah, they cross-threaded the wheel nut, but thankfully they were able to get it on, but he lost 12 seconds and also fell back behind Daniel Ricciardo on track. Lap 56, Charles Leclerc let Carlos Sainz through, Ferrari thinking he's faster. At the time he was. But lap 70, Charles Leclerc gets let back through by Carlos Sainz because he couldn't close the gap to Pierre Gasly. The gap between Hamilton and Perez was less than a second. Perez goes for a move into turn 4 maybe? But he didn't get it done, pretty much sealing the deal. Lap 71, Max Verstappen winning the Mexican Grand Prix, extending his championship lead to 19 points. Lewis Hamilton second, holding off Sergio Perez, and Valtteri Bottas stealing the fastest lap point off Max Verstappen on the final lap of the race.
Right. So, now I didn't watch the race because I've just been flat out with other stuff. I did watch the highlights, though.
That's all you needed to watch.
I mean,
really all you needed to watch.
I will admit, like, I did see a bit of the ending, like the last 20-odd laps or whatever. It was quite tense.
It was.
With watching Perez slowly gain on Lewis Hamilton.
That was the only tense thing about it. I mean, the problem with Mexico is it's so high altitude that it's a fast track. It's so high altitude that the cars have to bring their Monaco rear wings to generate enough downforce to get heat in the tyres. Which means when you're trying to follow another car in turbulent air, you've already got less downforce than usual. So take away 50% of that downforce, and you've got even less. So unfortunately, Mexico's not a great overtaking track, which its layout should promote plenty of overtaking.
And the thing is, it's having played it in the game, it's a fun track to drive on.
It's a great track. It's a fun track, but you lose so much downforce to the point where if you didn't want to stop in this race, you probably didn't have to. Like, Pirelli reckoned the hard tyres could have done the entire race distance. And the only reason that they didn't is because you have to have at least one mandatory pit stop in a dry race. That's how little, and I think it's Pirelli's fault too. I think they brought the C2, the C3 and the C4 tyre. I think next year, even though we're going to have the new cars with the better downforce, I think they need to bring the softest compound available.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen so many cars just struggle for grip, struggle for traction. Even in qualifying, they weren't getting traction or heat. They were actually doing warm-up laps in qualifying with the medium tyres on to start the race. Some drivers were doing 2 or 3 warm-up laps before they even were able to generate enough heat to attempt a qualifying lap. So it's just a drawback of the geographical location, but hopefully next year's car, using more ground effect aero rather than over the top of the car aero, can maybe fix the problem.
Yeah, because next year's cars have got more mechanical grip and less aerodynamic grip.
Exactly, and that's what you need around a track like this.
That's what you need in motorsport to begin with, because
Yeah.
if you've got more aerodynamic grip than mechanical grip, you're not going to have another car be able to follow the car in front.
That's the problem with modern Formula One. I mean, It hasn't been a problem until this race. Most of the races this year have been pretty damn exciting. This one just was a byproduct of its environment.
Yeah.
They just weren't able to get close enough to generate exciting racing. Which is a shame because that Mexican crowd was amazing.
Yeah.
Like the crowd in Austin, 400,000 over 3 days. The crowd in Mexico, I think, was 380,000 over 3 days. That stadium section was full. Like that baseball stadium, 30,000 was full. Every time Sergio went through there, they cheered.
Yeah.
You know, phenomenal fans, and they deserve phenomenal racing. And hopefully next year they get it, because
That's South America though. Like Mexico.
Yeah, like we're going to Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
We're going to Sao Paulo next week. They're going to be the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just like motorsport fans in that region. Like, I know I keep saying South America. Mexico is Mexico. It's not South America. But my point being, like in Mexico, in South America, you know, Brazil, Argentina.
Watch a soccer game.
Watch a soccer game.
Watch a soccer game.
Watch Iron Maiden Rock in Rio 2001.
Yeah.
You know.
They love everything.
Yeah.
And they're passionate about everything.
Yeah. And, you know, we're going to see more of that passion next week with the Brazilian F1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. It's going to be another fantastic race, another fantastic battle.
And the thing about Brazil normally is that it throws up something special with
rain. Yeah, it rains a lot in Sao Paulo,
and
apparently.
when it rains in Sao Paulo,
championships are won.
And you see Max Verstappen really turn it on.
Yeah, you remember his drive there in like 2018
Yeah.
when he just overtook like, was it 13 cars?
Yep.
Like around the outside of yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
except I don't think he's going to have to do much overtaking this time.
No, well,
I think it's going to be lead from the front, but I mean, we can make our predictions later.
yeah. Right. So that's the race.
Yeah, not one of the finest ones.
No, but you know, it's
It was still a race, and you know what? We still made history. Sergio Perez got on the podium.
I will say again, like I'm super proud of Sergio Perez. Like, you know,
Crofty said it in commentary. This time last year, he didn't have a drive.
Yeah.
He was out of a seat. And the entire reason there were 300,000 Mexicans in Mexico City was for that man.
Yep.
And Formula One was willing to let him go. Really? Nah.
And I mean, like, Gasly did so well.
Gasly drove great.
You know, the Ferrari boys,
Ferraris drove great.
Vettel, Raikkonen, Alonso. It's such a shame to see our countryman, though, Ricciardo, really making a ham fist of everything. I mean, he is in a decent car in that McLaren, and he
was McLaren's best chance. It should have been a double points finish.
Instead,
he started fifth.
Instead, it was a double points finish for Ferrari.
Ricciardo, yeah. I know he won in Monza. But this third place championship fight between Ferrari and McLaren has completely swayed back in Ferrari's favour, and Ricciardo's not helping the cause.
No.
I don't want to blame him because he wasn't out of control when he hit Bottas, but man, he's going to need a good drive in Sao Paulo to fucking salvage this. And keep in mind, Carlos Sainz got on the podium there 2 years ago in the Renault-powered McLaren.
Yeah.
So it's not like it doesn't have pace. I'm keen to see how they go next week.
Right. So that's the race.
I've had a bit of a rant on my boys, but they need it. They need to kick up the arse.
Well, it's tricky for me. Like, I'm a Ferrari supporter.
Yeah, no, you're going nuts.
But it's tricky for me because I'm a Ferrari supporter. But Ricciardo's an Australian. You know.
I know. I mean, it's a win-win for me. The Australian came to my team. Like, cool, win-win. But, you know, this is for all the marbles, at least, between these two teams.
And it has ramifications for next year.
Exactly. It has financial ramifications. It has pit box ramifications.
Development ramifications.
Exactly. There's a lot on the line in this. And
Yeah.
McLaren, ever since Lando fucked it in Sochi, well, the team fucked it in Sochi. Lando did everything he could. Ever since Sochi, this team is just on the downslope. So, I'm convinced now that the Ferrari is the better car out of the two. I just don't know where McLaren's going to find the advantage again now.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
All right. Now it is time for the pit lane questions.
Excellent.
As I sit there and click through the photos to try and find the photo that I'm after. Right.
There we go.
So the first sort of news story that's happened since the last race is apparently the Andretti buyout of Sauber, including Alfa Romeo F1, has fallen through.
Is there a reason for this?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. So, now, my numbers might be slightly off because I didn't write the numbers down.
It's all right. We're not professional here.
But initially, Andretti was going to buy the team for $350 million. I believe that was dollars.
US dollars? That's a lot of money.
I believe so.
That's a lot of money.
All right. So they were going to buy 80% of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy who's in charge of Sauber, who is not Peter Sauber because he sold the team,
Yep.
but the financial company, kind of like Dorilton Capital that owns Williams, they turned around and said, okay, so you've paid you want $350 million for the team. You also have to pay another $250 million on top of that to cover the FIA team entry into Formula One fee and to cover possible losses of sponsors for the team. To which Michael Andretti, I think Michael Andretti, one of the Andrettis, Mario Andretti.
I don't think it was him.
Whoever, Andretti Motorsport turned around and said, "You're having a laugh, how about no?" And so they backed out of the deal because they're not shelling up $600 million when they initially agreed to $350 million.
Could they drop the price of the buyout of the team
Nope.
and incorporate it into the entry? No?
Nope.
Really?
No.
Was that their offer to Alfa Romeo or Alfa Romeo's offer to them?
Alfa Romeo is just the sponsor of the team.
I mean, Sauber. Was it Sauber's? Did Sauber say, yeah, $350 million, I'll give you the team?
Yeah.
Or was it Andretti saying, we'll give you...
No. It was Sauber saying, if you want to buy the team, $350 million. And they agreed on that. And then Sauber turned around and said, oh, you've also got to pay another $250 million on top.
There's also hidden fees and charges, like some sort of dodgy bank contract.
Yeah. like it's some kind of really shitty Commonwealth Bank loan.
It's like Lord Hesketh in Rush. He's like, I've seen to have made somewhat of a miscalculation.
The finances are not the same as in Formula 3.
It seems the fees in Formula 1 are drastically different. Where have I heard that before?
But I think Sauber really made a dumb move there.
I think it was a great potential for Sauber to, especially for another team to capture the American market, where Formula 1's trying to break in. I mean, they're already talking about a Vegas street race. That's how much they want to break into the American market now.
Well, because they've got on next year's calendar, they've got the Miami race.
Yeah, they've got Austin already. That's staying there. As much as I hate that track.
Then you got a Miami street circuit.
Miami, and they want to go to Vegas. They want to bring back the Vegas street race.
Yeah, but they've done Vegas before, and it was crap.
Yeah, but it was like the fucking 60s, and people died.
It was the 80s. It was the 80s. Because that iconic footage of Nigel Mansell collapsing trying to push his car because he passed out from the heat.
Yeah, that race.
Because he ran out of petrol and he tried pushing it.
It's probably going to be a fucking night race in Vegas, which would be fucking cool, but...
It'll be a street circuit through the strip, I reckon.
That'd be fucking cool too.
At night with all the casino lights on. That'll look amazing.
But the fact that IndyCar don't even do that probably hints to maybe don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're trying to break into the American market. That's one of McLaren's biggest markets as an automotive company.
Yeah.
But...
that and those twits up at Canelands that are trying to sell those holidays. Like that... Okay, so I'm going to slightly slide off here.
That's a show car. That's not.
Yeah, but there's these. You've seen them right up at Canelands.
The 570S, yes.
Yeah, and the girl she's trying to sell this holiday to me, and she's like, "Oh, this is a McLaren 570S. It's called that because they've only made 570 of them."
Right.
And I looked at her and I went, "No, I'm pretty sure it's called the 570S because the engine generates 570 brake horsepower."
Correct.
And she went, "Oh, that too."
Oh, that too. She's not there for fucking car details. She's there for... Does she have big fat boobs?
Yes.
She's not there
and she's covered in tattoos.
She's not there for the fucking car details, mate. She's there to sell tickets.
I am there for the goddamn car details.
I'm going to walk up there in my McLaren shirt, my McLaren hat, and stare at that car, and she's going to try and tell me that they've made 570 of these. I'm a slapper. Call security. It's like, bitch, do you know who I am?
I don't know if anyone out there has watched it, but the movie Friday After Friday, like the third Friday movie with Ice Cube, where he's talking about how his father and his uncle got into a barbecue shop, like barbecue restaurant, and called Bros Barbecue, and they play the commercial where the uncle's sitting there going, "Come on, are you sick of that shit, how's it go again? You sick of that barbecue place from across the street? They give you more sauce, they give you meat. Bring your big ass down to Bros Barbecue. Barbecue so good, make you want to slap your mama." And then the father gets up, and the brother's like, "What do you reckon about that?" He goes, "Yeah, boy." And they got their mother, who's like 90. And he goes, "Hey, mama." And she turns around and he just whops her. And she drops like a sack of spuds.
We don't condone women violence here.
That's what you're going to do to her if she gets the facts wrong. I'm just going to have to sit there and say, "Barbecue's so good, make you want to slap your mama." Ain't that right, John? "Yeah, boy. Hey, mama."
No, I just walk down to Woolworths, buy a loaf of bread, do the Gordon Ramsay thing. What are you, an idiot sandwich? Walk off.
Look,
Back to it. That was a good deviation.
that was. If you haven't seen that clip, please go and look it up because it's
Look it up on YouTube. You're already here.
It's It was actually one of my brother's favorite things to say all
That's
the
awesome.
time. So, but getting back onto it, like, I think it was silly on Sauber's behalf to try and sell it, and then sit there and go, oh yeah, by the way, there's all these hidden fees and stuff.
Maybe Andretti should have emailed ahead and checked all the details out. Like, did they even think about, what's the FIA costs,
They thought it was all a part of it.
Yeah, right.
Because they were under the proviso that they're buying the team and it's got the $140 million cost cap.
145 million cost cap.
Yeah.
Pound.
What? Yeah. And then, like, the FIA fees were included because they're buying an existing team, so that it's already paid for.
You're just switching the name over.
Yeah, that's right.
Doesn't quite work like that, I guess.
You're just switching the rego plates over.
Yeah, you're just taking it over, but crafty on Sauber, I guess, if he didn't really want to sell it.
Well, it is.
But I think it's a lost opportunity for Formula One. I think Andretti, especially with the legacy of Mario Andretti at Lotus, I think that name deserves to be back in the sport.
Well, I was sitting there thinking about this when the story broke. I'm like, well, if Andretti Racing is doing so well in America with IndyCar, NASCAR, I think they're also part of endurance racing. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But
They might be.
if they're spreading their wings a little bit, maybe it might be an idea for Andretti to take a page out of the Haas book, set up their own team from scratch.
I was about to say, if they've got that sort of money lying around, 350 mil, and how much did you say it was for the shit? 250 mil?
They were going to buy the team for 350
They were going to
mil.
buy the team for 350
And
mil,
then
but all
there was-
the entry shit was like 250 mil.
250 mil.
So they've already got the money there to cover the entry fees.
Yeah.
Plus 100 million, just in that alone, plus 100 million, which is your salary cap almost.
And
they'll have more money than that. They're
And
not
if-
breaking the bank to buy the team out.
and if they go the Haas route, which is buy as many
Dallara parts,
oh
spare parts from other teams,
yeah customer parts.
doesn't work. Doesn't make a good car.
No, but it gets them a foot in the door. It gets them up and running.
Andretti doesn't want to be a foot in the door.
No. But
Neither did Gene Haas, though.
that's right. But it gets them a foot in the door. It gets them relationships in Formula One,
Yeah.
and then they can expand from that.
It's a viable option. Like, they clearly have the money if they want to do it on their own without trying to shortcut and buy a team out. They clearly have the finances to do it.
Yeah.
So if they want to put their money where their mouth is, why not? Yeah, maybe why not do that?
Yeah.
Why not talk to Haas? Talk to Haas. Like, how'd you guys do it? And they'll tell them exactly what you just said.
Yeah. Don't talk to Mazepin though. Don't talk to Dmitry Mazepin.
Don't talk to that Russian dickhead.
Talk to Gene Haas direct. That's our advice to
Talk to Zach Brown.
Andretti.
Like, there's plenty of Americans in there. Talk to Lawrence Stroll. Talk to Zach Brown.
Yeah.
They'll give them advice. Like, they're businessmen that got their way into Formula One. Both of those guys.
And like because Haas is now probably going to be owned by Dmitry Mazepin.
yeah, it won't be Haas next year. Is it next year or the year after? Are they planning a sellout?
I don't know.
It's going to be
Like,
soon. It's going to be soon.
well, there's no confirmation that they've bought the team.
Yeah.
Like, apparently, Gene Haas still owns the team,
We'll see what happens over the off season.
but which plays into something I'll get to soon.
Mhm.
But like Formula One could do with a second American team on the grid to expand the
marketing.
market.
Yes, which is what they want to do.
Formula One could use another team on the grid as a whole.
They could, yes.
You know?
Another 2 or 3 teams, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we've been saying for years.
So, like...
That was the point of the salary cap coming in.
Yeah.
That was the point of the salary cap coming in and the engine reconfiguration, getting rid of the heat unit. The whole point of that was to draw interest from manufacturers that aren't currently in the sport.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
That's what Liberty Media is trying to do. That's what Ross Brawn and Stefano Domenicali and before him Chase Carey were trying to do, was bring more sponsors, bring more fans, bring more interest to F1 as an entity.
Yep.
Because...
And it's working.
Let's be honest, Bernie Ecclestone only catered for Bernie Ecclestone and Bernie Ecclestone's rich mates.
He was a very selfish man, yes. And Formula One suffered because of that.
At one point, he was the saviour. By the end of it, he was killing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No one wanted him around by the end.
Yeah.
Sad demise, but look how much better. When did Bernie Ecclestone hang up the gloves? Proverbial gloves.
It was, 2017, I think it was?
Yeah, righto.
Or 2018, somewhere around there.
And look how much better of a product we've got now since he's been gone.
Yeah, I mean, we've got that amazing F1 theme.
Got the amazing F1 theme. Liberty Media, the production as a whole. Sky Sports, starts 3 hours before the Grand Prix now and goes all the way through to the end.
Yeah, and I mean,
I watched the replay of the 2008 Brazilian Grand Prix. The only Lewis Hamilton championship I've ever cheered for and probably will ever cheer for. He won the championship, pulled into pit lane, did the little fist bump, and then they cut the feed, and that was it. Could you imagine Max Verstappen winning the championship and they just it's oh, and that's the end. Okay, we'll see you next year. Bye.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Lewis Hamilton won. See you, bye.
Yeah, it's we'll see you next year. It's Lewis Hamilton just won the most dramatic championship we've ever fucking seen. The last quarter of the last lap of the last race, and it's just oh, here's your podium. Oh, here's Lewis in 5th. That's your world champion. All right, we'll see you later.
Woo!
Yeah, Sky Sports now, if that happened, if Max Verstappen or if Lewis Hamilton comes from behind again, God forbid.
That's what he normally does, isn't it?
And he wins the championship on the last corner or the last sector of Abu Dhabi or whatever. Sky Sports are going to go on with that for fucking weeks.
Yep.
So the quality of the sport and how many new fans we've got, even here in town. I've got mates I didn't even know watched Formula One.
Yeah, but I think that's because they listened to us and they got hooked on us, and then they went, "Crumbs, we better watch this F1 thing."
I think they got hooked on Drive to Survive, and then got hooked on us, and then got hooked on Formula One. Yeah. But we're all the better for it because the community is growing, and they picked a hell of a time to get on board.
Yeah, I think this is going to sound a bit horrible. I think COVID actually did Formula One a favour.
It did.
I mean, we've said this about 5 times. COVID did Formula One a favour.
It did.
Brought back old tracks.
Yep.
And then by not introducing the new cars this year, by running modified versions of last year's car this year.
This is the best championship we've had.
Yeah.
In the turbo hybrid era.
I wish we had these cars back in 2014 because it might have made the 2014 championship a whole lot better.
A lot was said when this turbo hybrid era was introduced. Not many people were happy with it, but I'm glad this iteration of the car is going out in its final year in the most fucking exciting way.
Yeah.
Holy shit. This iteration, the last memory we're going to have of these iterations of the car is the closest championship fight.
Yeah.
Between Max and Lewis, Mercedes and Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren, and the 4 midfield teams. Yeah. What a way for this iteration of the car to go out. That's what I'm most happy about. Yeah. We'll look back and we'll see photos of the 2021 car in 5 years' time. I'm going to be fuck, how good was that season?
It's kind of like looking back on the cars from the 90s and the 80s.
It's looking back on V8 supercars from the fucking early 2000s, late 90s. It's fuck, they were good.
Yeah.
Like, I watched Greg Murphy's lap of Bathurst from 2003. Like, it keeps coming up on my Facebook feed.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, that's good.
Yeah.
Like, nostalgia. I was like, fuck, that's good. And we're going to look back on these cars in 2021, and we're going to be like, that was an amazing season.
Yeah. Right. Our next point, as I go through the photos again. So in 2026, it is all but confirmed that Porsche is going to be joining the F1 grid as an engine power unit supplier.
As a power unit supplier, not as a team?
Yeah.
Right. I'm still going to get behind that.
I think they're going to be joining Red Bull.
Ooh.
And they're going to have access to the Honda engine IP that they've bought, that Red Bull powertrains are going to look after for the next 4 years or whatever. And they're going to have access to the technical specs of that so that they can develop their power unit for...
Yeah, they're not
Red
going to
Bull.
just take over the Honda engine design. They're going to be able to hit the ground running by designing their own version of the existing powertrain. Is that it?
But, well, here's the thing. Porsche has said that they want a greater... that the power unit to be less focused on the internal combustion engine and more focused on the battery and the electric stuff.
They want to focus more on the hybrid system.
Yes.
Right.
But they are taking the MGU H out.
Yeah, the heat unit's
the heat
gone.
unit, because the heat unit,
It's relevant anyway.
yeah, it
All
does.
it does is take heat from the turbo, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not roadworthy. Like, it's not road relevant to the cars that we drive.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's Formula One's other thing. They're making sustainable synthetic fuel. They're going to make oil-free fuel, essentially, by 2030, zero emissions, that they're going to put in these cars, and if it works, they're going to start making it commercially available.
Well, next year they're running 10% ethanol.
Yeah, that's the beginning of it.
Yeah.
By 2030, they want to have a fuel, still a combustion engine that still drives a combustion engine. They're not even talking about EV. They want a fuel that can drive an internal combustion engine with zero emissions.
Yeah, 100% biofuel.
100% biofuel, no emissions, but still drives an ICE.
It's amazing how for Formula One can commit to that, but Scott Morrison fucking can't. I do understand Scott Morrison's perspective, though, because 90%...
Coal's our biggest export, mate. We can't fucking...
Yeah, well, that's right. You know, that's what... Yeah.
If Scott Morrison really wants to fuck us, the biggest oil reserve in the world underneath the Great Barrier Reef, so... Drop a drill in there.
Don't give him ideas.
Fucking... It's not like he wouldn't have thought about it.
But I'm excited for Porsche to be returning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yes, returning. I forgot they were a manufacturer in the past.
Yeah, because they supplied engines in the 90s to McLaren.
Yes, they did. I think Ayrton got to test drive the McLaren. I heard it. I think it was on Beyond the Grid, one of the ex-McLaren test drivers. I think Ayrton got to test the McLaren with the Porsche engine, one of the early models before he went to Williams.
Yeah.
And they reckon if McLaren had switched to Porsche earlier, Ayrton would have stayed. But alas, he went to Williams, and we all know what happened.
Well, I think they tested with Porsche, but they didn't put it in the car. I think they went to Peugeot, didn't they?
They might have, yeah.
Yeah.
There might have been another part of that story. I'm completely forgetting. But yeah.
And then it didn't work, and they ended up with Mercedes.
Yeah, but I mean, look, we've got Porsche now
Yeah.
coming in with all their World Endurance Championship experience. They know how to make a hybrid engine
Yeah.
that can run for fucking ages. Unfortunately, theirs runs on diesel. So they're going to have to try and make an engine that runs on 10% ethanol fuel.
Yeah.
With a slightly different setup, but that's what the Red Bull powertrain guys are going to let them in on the secrets early.
Yeah.
To see what they can do.
Let them in on the ground floor to get their feet wet.
That's it. And if Porsche is going to come in, who knows who that's going to open the door for?
That could... I mean, if Red Bull's willing to play ball on it, that could open the door for possibly Andretti to come in and get Porsche engines.
Andretti can come in. Andretti's got the funds, clearly. Come in,
Yeah.
make your own fucking team. Bring your own supplier. Bring Chevrolet. I'm sure they can make a V6. Don't they make... What do the Indy cars run? Are they V6 turbos?
V6 turbos, but they got a control turbo where everyone uses the same turbo.
Who gives a shit? Give Chevrolet the fucking blueprints. Let's just see if Chevrolet can make a fucking turbo fucking... with a whack a hybrid on a turbo
Well, I mean,
V6.
the two engine suppliers in IndyCar,
A Honda.
Honda and Chevrolet.
Bring
And yet Honda's pulling out of Formula One.
It's alright. Honda's got their finger in enough pies, I think.
We all know. Look, let's call a spade
Honda
a
will
spade.
leave and then come back.
Yeah, they'll come back.
Yeah. And they'll probably bring Chevy with them.
I reckon Honda will come back and retake over the engine supply with Red Bull in 2026.
Unless Porsche beat them to it.
Uh,
I don't know, like the door is open for a lot of things to happen in the very near future.
Yeah.
Which is exciting as fuck for us.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
there's so much shit that's going to go on between 2021 and 2030.
And with Porsche rejoining, you get the old 80s supercar rivalry back between Ferrari and Porsche.
That's it.
Because in the 80s, you had the Ferrari F40. Oh, what a machine.
Yeah, that's my favourite Ferrari ever.
And the Porsche 959.
hmm
I mean, that thing,
That thing was a rocket too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Test Drive 2, the duel on the Commodore 64, was built around the rivalry between Ferrari and Porsche.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yeah.
It's a old video
I think
game.
I saw it on YouTube once. Test
Yeah.
drive, and yeah.
Test Drive 2, the duel. It's on the Commodore 64.
I'm not that old. My
Yeah.
first memory of cars was like Need for Speed. Like PC Need for Speed, the original one. We played it, remember?
Yeah.
With the Lamborghini Diablo
Well, just take
and the Ferrari
take the,
Testarossa.
take the first-person view mode from the original Need for Speed. The Road and Track presents
God.
Need for Speed.
The pixels. My God, the
Just,
pixels.
yeah, drop the graphics down and make everything sound like a washing machine on full cycle.
Drop
and
the
you,
graphics down from that.
yeah,
How did you see anything?
because it was hand drawn.
You see the memes come up on Facebook now of like old wrestling games. It's like the graphics are so realistic, and it's like the poly body with like the photo of Stone Cold's head on it. That's what that's reminding me of. It's like fuck. I mean, playing Need for Speed 2, the McLaren F1. It's like, man, this is so realistic. Driving around the proving grounds of the airport. It's so cool. And then you look at it now, and it's like my eyes hurt from squinting at the pixels.
Particularly the PlayStation 1 version. You're like, oh, God, my eyes.
My eyes actually hurt from trying to squint at the pixels.
It's like playing GTA Gran Turismo Sport and then going and playing Gran Turismo 1. And you just go,
Oof.
what a drop. Or the step from Gran Turismo 2 to Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec on the PS2. It's just vast yawning chasms.
Technology, eh?
So the next story, I don't have a photo for this, I haven't even written it down in my notes, is a rather laughable comment from Nikita Mazepin.
Oh, do tell.
He said that despite the fact that his dad is the team prince, like the main sponsor of the Haas team, he said he has no intention on staying in the back end team.
Really? Let me tell you something, Nikita.
You sounded very... Some wrestler used to start off with, well, let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something, brother. No team is going to touch you with a 10-foot pole. I ranted this last time we spoke about this kid. That no one outside of Haas, I'm like, if he leaves Haas, where is he going to go? No one's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole. The statement is still true to this day. Despite what he thinks, the statement still stands.
And the only reason he is in that damn team is
It's
because his dad
is a
bought it.
fucking billionaire Russian gangster. I actually don't know what he did to get that money, but I assume it was killing people.
Selling vodka, killing people, selling AK-47s. Who knows? It's
Typical Russians.
just your Russian stereotype shit. But, God, what a laughable comment.
Is he saying that he doesn't want to stay in a back-end team, as in he doesn't want Haas / Uralkali Racing to be a back team?
No.
Or he's saying that because, he actually thinks someone above him's going to fucking sign him?
Yes.
The guy who hasn't... What championship... What was that video we watched? He hasn't won a championship coming up to Formula 1, has he?
No.
He wasn't Formula 3000 champion?
No.
Formula 4 champion?
No.
Formula 3?
No.
Formula 2?
No.
Fucking junior Russian karting... fucking...
I don't even think he was, the Who Gives a Fuckistan AK-47 shooting champion.
That's it. You want a kid that hasn't won a fucking championship in God knows how long, not at least in fucking recent memory, who is already bitching about being whipped by fucking Mick Schumacher, which is understandable because Mick Schumacher has champion pedigree and you don't.
I mean, he is the son of a god.
He is the son of a god, yes.
And his uncle might not be a god.
He's pretty close. He's good.
But, he's a deity of some description.
He comes from racing royalty.
Yep.
Hence the last name. And he's clearly got the talent.
Yep.
He just needs a car to prove it.
Yep.
Which is more exciting and more viable than Nikita Mazepin thinking he has the same amount of fucking talent. And that put him in a decent car, he's going to prove it. I'd love for the kid to prove me wrong, but he's not going to.
I'd just like to laugh at him. I really would.
I don't know what he sees. He's not junior champion in any junior formula, and he hasn't done fuck all for his reputation since he got here.
He must read, the classifications or whatever, and see see George Russell's name and go, that's me. That's me. George Russell. That's me. No, you fucking aren't.
He thinks because he's finished 4 places behind George Russell that he's this far away from a Mercedes drive.
No, he thinks it's like golf.
The lowest score
The
wins.
lowest score wins.
That's right. I finished 3 under par. No, that's plus 3 laps.
That's how many times you got lapped by Lewis.
See how many times Max Verstappen went past you? That means you fucking suck.
No, I'm good.
I'm
good.
I am good.
I have more petrol in petrol tank than he does.
My
tyres are better.
My tyres are fresher, which means I'm better at looking after my tyres.
And if you don't give me the trophy, I'm going to shoot you with my AK-47.
His dad's fucking hitman probably will.
Agent 47.
Oh, boy. No, that is laughable. Thank you for that.
What a pathetic display.
I can't shit on that. I feel terrible.
I don't.
I'm not a guy that shits on people as a person, but fuck me, he makes it easy. He just leaves the door open, doesn't he?
It's like every time he says something stupid, and I've got this idea from the YouTuber named Super GT. Whenever he finishes a race in 6th, which is his usual position when he finishes a race, he plays a clip from a football game of the commentator going, "Oh, that's a goal! He's done it!" That's every time Mazepin says something stupid. We need that clip.
Look, I mean...
But we used to think Lance Stroll was retarded.
Yeah, but Lance Stroll's proven himself. I'll give the kid credit. He's
Lance Stroll, before he got into Formula 1...
He was paid for by Daddy.
No, he was a part of the Ferrari Driver Academy.
I'm pretty sure he won the Formula 3 World Championship too. He actually had credibility. He actually had credibility coming up. Nikita doesn't have any fucking credibility.
He's got an AK-47.
He's got
That's
He's got Daddy's credit card. That's not fucking credibility.
Yeah, but he's got an AK-47. That's credibility.
At least have a trophy cabinet.
He's a ladies' man. That's credibility.
He's not a fucking ladies' man. He's a creeping fucking creeper.
What, like
Grope.
the drummer that I had?
We won't go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've made me lost my train of thought. I was about to now it's gone. Damn it.
He was creepy.
No, wait. At least have a fucking trophy cabinet that isn't full of participation medals.
That sounds like New South Wales State of Origin team.
We can't say that this year.
It's true.
Or for the next 10 years. They're going to fuck us. I don't want to admit that on the podcast, but Queensland, you've got some...
Well, we got Billy Slater as a coach now. So. It's better than Kevin Walters.
Just kicked them in the head. Worked for me until they literally had to change the rules for me. On your belly.
All right, I've got one more point.
All right.
We'll get away from Nikita Mazepin.
Please.
So next year's sprint races are going to be at
they're keeping
6
them.
races. Yeah, they're bumping them up to 6 races next
It's
year.
going to be like a Formula 2 weekend soon. Every race is going to be sprint and then feature.
And I mean, they still keep... What ones did they do this year? They did Silverstone?
Austria? Did they do Austria? No. They did.
Silverstone, Monza, and...
Was it Austria? Was it Austria?
I'm not entirely...
Or was it Hungary? No, it wasn't Hungary. I can't fucking remember, dude. Drawing a blank. There was 3 this year, and there's going to be 6 next year, is your point. Yeah.
They're keeping the 3 from this year,
Yep.
but they haven't announced the other 3.
Yeah, righto.
And there's a rumour that Australia is going to be one of them.
Are we actually having a Grand Prix next year?
Yeah, it's in April.
Are we going to go? Can we do an F1 P&J chat from the fucking Albert Park circuit?
We can't do it from the circuit
It's
because
very loud.
this gear we're running needs a fucking power source, but we can do it from the hotel room.
Yeah.
It just depends because
on location.
But there might be something else coming next year, but I'll talk to you about that outside of the podcast.
Yes.
But it's 6 sprint races. What did you think of the sprint races this year?
Didn't add anything. I don't think they added anything.
I think...
I liked them. I mean...
Well, as Ross Brawn said, they need to iron it out a little bit. There's still a few more kinks in it. But it has promoted ticket sales for the entire weekend by having the qualifying on the Friday, the sprint race on the Saturday, and the main race on the Sunday.
Yeah, you've got 3 days of fucking...
Competitive action.
Yeah, competitive action. You don't rock up on the Friday to watch 2 fucking 90-minute practice sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still maintain, I think they should do the sprint race on the Friday as a reverse grid.
What do you base it on, though? You're going to have to do a practice session. What?
From the previous
FP1?
race.
Okay.
All right. And then have
Continue.
qualifying actually determine the race, the actual race order.
So you reverse the grid from the last race and have a sprint race.
Yep.
Straight off no, you're going to have a practice session first.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Practice, then the sprint race.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the winner gets, I don't know, fucking 10 points.
They get 3 points now, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever. Don't change that. That's fine.
All right. Okay. Then another practice.
Yep.
Qualifying, and then the race on the Sunday. Or the only other idea I can come up with is you do... Crumbs, I completely forgot what the idea was. Yeah, I can't remember it.
It's gone. That's okay. Look, I don't think sprint race added much, but it's not going to say I'm not going to sit there and watch it.
Actually, you know what? Do the qualifying on do the sprint race on the Friday,
Yeah.
and have that determine the order that the cars go out during qualifying.
MotoGP do something similar to that. You combine times. If you're in the bottom half, you go out and do your own qualifying session, and then it's only the top 2 from that session that go into the main qualifying session. So I don't know. I mean, there's ways to tweak it. I don't think we have a perfect answer. I don't think I don't think it added much, but, if it's something to invigorate interest on a Friday or a Saturday, other than, Friday especially,
Yeah.
because you don't want to, man, you rock up. I mean, we did it in Singapore the second time we went. Not me and you, me and Barry. You rock up. We watch practice from the roof of the hotel because, it's 2 90-minute sessions of cars half-assing around.
Yeah.
That's not exhilarating. At least if you're going to rock up on the Friday, you've got a qualifying session which counts for something. Saturday, a sprint race that counts for something, and Sunday, the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 days of entertainment. You're not rocking up on a Friday in the pouring rain to watch cars fuck around for 90 minutes or an hour.
Well, one thing that Ross Brawn has said is that the sprint race will not be reverse grid.
Fair enough.
Won't do reverse grid.
Yeah, no, reverse grid's only reserved for F2 and shit. I mean, I feel like it counts too much.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine Max Verstappen having to come from the fucking... Max and Lewis have to line up on the back row every fucking time. They'd be sick of that shit.
Yeah. But they're still trying to debate over qualifying, like actual qualifying, should be the should be what gives them like a bonus point for qualifying, and they should whoever gets the fastest lap in qualifying should be the person who gets listed as qualifying on pole.
Yeah, but the fastest time overall.
Yeah.
In all 3. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, imagine going out, setting the fastest time of the whole fucking weekend in Q2, but not starting on pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see an argument for that. I think the 3-stage qualifying probably needs a tweak, which is probably why they're trying to do these sprint races.
Oh, I think I don't think there's a problem with qualifying. I don't think there's a problem with the qualifying system. I just think the sprint race needs to be its own thing, but it needs to be points that contribute to the championship, so it's not just there for shits and giggles.
Well, it is. You get 3 points if you win it and you start on pole.
I think that's why Friday just have the sprint race, 17 laps, whoever wins that gets 13 points, or 3 points, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then have qualifying on Saturday that sets the grid for the Sunday.
Maybe you have fucking FP1, force the teams to hit the ground running. FP1, the times of that set the fucking grid for the sprint race. Then that, sets the, and then you go into qualifying for it. So you have, I think supercars do it now. They have like 2 qualifying sessions back to back, but that sets the grid for 2 different races. So like you could qualify on pole for fucking, you could qualify on pole for race 2. You get taken out in race 1. You're starting from pole from race 2. Like,
and I think for the sprint races, they can only use the softs.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. Or bring back, or make a special comp, bring back the Hypersoft, whatever, the Ultra Soft.
The sprint tire. The sprint tire.
Yeah, just call it a sprint tire, but you can't use it in qualifying and you can't use it in the race.
And no colour on it.
Yeah, no colour on it.
No colour on it.
Just a black tire.
Just a black tire.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a million variants you could do.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect system and it never will be, but it's just something to try and generate interest in a sport which is doing pretty fucking well to generate interest at the moment. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right. So moving right along, we're going to go to the driver's standings. So coming in first, leading the championship, is Max Verstappen on 312.5 points. Lewis Hamilton in second with 293.5 points. Valtteri Bottas in third with 185 points. Sergio Perez in fourth with 165 points. Lando Norris in fifth with 150 points. Charles Leclerc in sixth with 138. Carlos Sainz in seventh with 130.5. Daniel Ricciardo in 8th with 105. Pierre Gasly in 9th with 86. And Fernando Alonso in 10th with 60. And in the team standings,
Oh boy.
1 point.
1 point. I'm going to be fucking honest with you. I did not think Red Bull was going to close this gap. Not at least in one weekend.
I did.
Yeah?
I did. Remember I was saying I think Red Bull's going to take the constructors, and they're looking like they're in there.
They're right in there now.
So Mercedes are still leading the constructors on 478.5 points. Red Bull 1 point behind on 477.5.
Hey, pause for a second. Is it constructors' standings that dictate where your pit box is?
Yes.
So if Mercedes wins constructors, but Max Verstappen wins drivers, Mercedes still have the first
Yes.
pit bay.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Third place is Ferrari in 268.5 points, and McLaren has dropped down to fourth with 255 points.
That's a swing.
It is a swing. And then tied for fifth,
Wow.
Alpine and AlphaTauri, both on 106 points.
Shit's heating up.
Yeah.
Shit's heating up in the constructors.
So you got Group A, 1 point. Group B is a massive swing, and Group C is
Evens,
tied.
Stevens, baby.
Aston Martin,
No man's land.
no man's land. They secured 7th
That's not great.
and 68 points. Well, that's because they're not running last year's Mercedes. 8th is Williams with 23 points. Alfa Romeo has got 11 points,
Go, Kimmy.
and Haas has still got Zut.
Don't worry, Nikita Mazepin wants out, guys.
Yeah, he wants into a better
He
team.
wants into a better team, which means you might be able to generate some points. Possibly.
The Steiner will be happy.
You know what, man? If Haas has got all their fucking tokens in for next year's car, you'd think Nikita Mazepin would at least know that before he starts making dumb statements like that.
Yeah, but it's Nikita Mazepin. How did he celebrate getting a Formula One contract? I'm groping a
that
girl.
attendant. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Sorry.
Anyway.
Sorry,
everyone.
The one beacon of praise I've ever fucking given him. Gone. Fuck you. The one benefit of doubt. It's like, you should at least be smart. Actually, no, it wasn't even probably praise, or was it? I called him dumb. At least be smart enough to realise your car has more tokens to spend on it next year than anyone else, which means it should be halfway reliable.
And it's got more wind tunnel time than anyone else.
Yeah, you're actually going to be able to develop a pretty fucking decent car
And
next year.
their factory is now on the same grounds as the Ferrari factory at Maranello.
That's dumb. I don't
And
know
half
why that is.
half their staff are the staff that Ferrari couldn't keep on because of the cost cap.
This team really doesn't have many excuses
But
left, does it?
Alfa Romeo's chief technical director
Mm.
was the guy who designed the 2019 Ferrari. Because they couldn't keep him because of the reshuffle and because of the budget cap. So they shipped him off to Alfa Romeo because Alfa Romeo's got staff from Ferrari.
Yeah.
You know,
You said it before that they're backing the wrong horse. I think you're right.
yeah, well.
Mm.
As I start choking to death for some reason. Right, so that was the Mexican F1. And I'm starting to do that as many times as Lars Ulrich does. I'm like Lars from Metallica. I'm like I'm so fucking awesome.
Fuck
Like,
you, Napster.
you can't get fucking Kirk to do a fucking solo like that. Anyway. So that was the Mexican F1. Next week we have the Brazilian F1 from Sao Paulo.
The second of our triple header, so you got us for 3 straight weeks, Internet.
And the home, the shrine of Senna.
The shrine of Senna and the place of fucking at least 3 fucking world championship deciders.
And just the spiritual ending of the season, despite the fact that we still have another
Despite
3
the fact
races.
that the oil money and all 3 of those season-ending races are in the Middle East.
Yeah, I know.
Money talks.
Those countries don't have the passionate fans that South America
yeah, exactly.
has.
The oil sheiks don't give a fuck about Formula
Yeah, because, I mean, they give millions of dollars to Vince McMahon too, so...
Are they going to give a fuck about Formula One when they're racing synthetic fuel? No oil? It's
Probably
like, we're not even using your product anymore. do you want us to keep coming here?
Aren't they holding the Cricket World T20 World Cup in...
No, they're Qatar's holding the FIFA World Cup.
Oh, okay.
They have to build air-conditioned stadiums just to fucking make it bearable.
Fuck.
Yeah, good luck
Okay.
to you.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of air conditioners. Are they going to be Fujitsu air conditioners? Sorry, I just... Mark Taylor. Fujitsu air
It's
conditioners.
Australia's favourite air.
Australia's favourite air.
It's going to be Durka aircon. Oh boy.
Oh,
That got
Christ,
racist
you,
quick,
you
I'm sorry.
broke me. You broke me.
Alright, we're done.
All right. So,
See you next week. I'll see
Yeah,
you next week.
yes, we will see you next week for episode 21 of the P&J F1 chat. But thank you for joining us. You know all the stuff to do. I'm not going to sit here and list it. I'm not
Ring the
watching my
bell.
joint.
Ring
Yeah,
the fucking bell.
ring the bell like Colette used
Like,
to sing.
subscribe, comment. None of
Give
yous
us
do.
your firstborn. Buy us a sub from Subway. Buy us a cup of coffee, except I don't drink coffee, but whatever.
Cup of coffee in the big time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to the movies this week and go and see No Time to Die, which opens on Thursday here in Australia, but half the rest of the world's had it for the last month and a half and fucking spoiled it. Thankfully, I avoid the spoilers. But thank you for tuning in. And until next week, I'll actually look at the microphone to finish the episode. Until next week, it is goodbye.